Yo, banging on the beat, breaking the concrete, defeating demons on a daily basis, glowing radiance, raising the consciousness to the most high status, lumen lyrical brightness, supreme natural intelligence. There's no coincidence that I'm rocking, feeding the knowledge to the masses. Vets and youth always speak the fire of truth, wisdom. Life is about growth or development, so build your light for the tests in life. Never give up, never let up. That's what's up. You know what time it is, so push forward, elevate your mind in the sun and rise.
Yeah, check it, listen, coming through, fire bun. I'm an intellectual to the precise decimals, mathematical root radicals. So we see this, I mean this, the fire of truth, from the sheer might, the fire of truth.
Welcome, my brothers and sisters. Barak Shalom. Here we go with another live blaze. As promised, we're gonna do it on Saturday or Sunday, so I had to come in before it gets too late. We're gonna have a short, however, but spicy and seasoned lesson continuing on the construction build of Melanin. So we're talking about Melanin Science, Part 8. Who says that light color vibrations don't matter? So we're going to be continuing where we left off, so let me get to the matter at hand, and let's get through this information. Get to the highlights, and why Melanin is so important. Getting to the science papers and the books. So let me share my screen, and let's get right to it. Alright, this is where we left off. We were moving on to the correspondence and the connection between the skin melanocyte and the brain neurons. So as we left off previously, what was said, neurons in the brain and melanocytes in the skin have the same embryological origin, and the previous work done by Moore 2002 has presented experimental evidence to support the hypothetical role of skin is a large brain. So be marinated in that knowledge, be seasoned and be spiced in that knowledge. So now you know that your skin is like a brain. It's your largest brain. It interfaces with the outside world. So you got to take care of your skin, brothers and sisters. Because now you know that your skin is a brain. It has a relationship, it has a connection, and it interfaces with your outside environment. If you don't take care of your skin, if you clog out your skin with stuff that shouldn't be on your skin, chemicals and shampoos and chemical soaps that you put in your skin, lotions that are full of chemicals, how are you going to think right? Your skin is connected to your brain. Mainframe brain right here. Your neurons are connected through your skin. So how are you going to be able to think right if you have a polluted skin? So be seasoned in that. Be seasoned, be spiced in that knowledge. This book telling you that your skin is the largest brain you have. Because it has the most surface area on your whole living biochemistry. So be marinated in that knowledge and take care of your skin. So let us move on. As you could see, the comparison between the skin melanocytes and the brain neurons. You could see it has roots and branches that come off of it. This is important for transmitting information and intelligence between same cells and different cells. That's what the axons do. That's what the dendrites do. So it's important that you take heed to the knowledge and take care of the cellular structure of your body. You're made up of cells. You're an organism. An organism is made up of cells when we get to the root and source of all of it. So you got to learn how to take care of your cells. So let me pull up something here to show you. What's an axon? An axon is a long thread-like part of a nerve cell along with impulses are conducted from a cell body to other cells. What is the function? Axons, also called nerve fiber portion or nerve cell neuron, that carries nerve impulses away from the cell body. A neuron typically has one axon that connects it with other or connects it with other or with a muscle or gland cell. So you're seeing what an axon is for. Transmitting impulses and information. Now let's go to dendrites. Dendrite is a short branch extension of a nerve cell, along with impulses received from other cells at synapsis and are transmitted to the cell body. So you've already been given a hint. A dendrite is a branch, so that tells us it acts as a tree, transmitting information, receiving information. When we go to the etymology of a dendrite, what does dendrite mean? Remember, these science terms are Latin, but what is a dendrite? A tree branch. As you can see, the relation, the correspondence, the law of correspondence. As within, also outside of you. We see the trees in Almighty Nature. What do you think those trees and plants are for? Sending and receiving information. All the plants and trees you see are in us. All the animals, insect life, from the micro to the macro, they all live within us. We are the embodiment of the earth at a micro level. We're the embodiment of the universe at a micro level, depending on how you zoom in and zoom out. So you have to understand the importance of this. Everything is connected. So let's get back to it. A comparison between the morphology of a skin cell, melanocyte, and a brain cell, neuron, both cell types express dendritic processes. You just found that a dendrite is essentially branches, or roots, in other words. Remember, as above, so below. Branches are like roots. It's just your perspective. If you turn the tree the other way around, the roots become branches, and the branches become the roots. It's the same thing. As above, so below, the law of correspondence. So both cell types express dendritic processes that are activated by external stimuli. And how do you get external stimuli? Your skin. Your skin is the first processor of information to the outside world. Take care of your skin, and then you're going to be able to think intelligently. The reason a lot of people can't think right because their skin is in poor condition. This is why you got to take care of your skin. Because it's literally the first part of your brain, the biggest part that has the greatest surface area of your body, which is your brain. What did Dr. Bruce Lipton tell you about cells? The membrane of a cell is the brain of a cell. That's the skin of a cell. Is the brain of a cell. Same thing with you. Our body has multiple brains, depending on how you look at it. But when it comes to the larger portions, everybody knows about the brain in your head. Less people know that your brain is a heart as well. Less people know that. Some people will know that your digestive system is a brain as well. However, ultimately, every cell in your body acts as a brain when you really zoom in and go into it. And you see how cell functions. They communicate with one another. They transfer information and intelligence back and forth to one another. So every cell in your body is a brain. When every cell in your body is working together, that forms the mind. The mind is more than just your brain here. Your mind is the totality of the intelligence and information of the information within your body. Which produces photoelectromagnetism. Light, electricity, magnetism is produced. And that's what the body uses. It uses light, electricity, and magnetism. And since we're talking about melanin science, the more melanin you have externally and internally, neuromelanin, central nervous system melanin, the better you're able to process these energy systems. Light, electricity, and magnetism. And if you're able to better process these sources of energy, you're going to be able to perform better physically and mentally. That's why melanin is so important. So let's continue here. Both cells, the melanocyte and the neuron, express dendritic processes that are activated by external stimuli. Both cells secrete chemicals. Remember, chemical is black. Chemi is black. It's the study of the black molecule. That's what melanin is, the black compound. So chemistry is the study of mixing melanin, diluting melanin, mixing melanin, activating melanin, playing around with melanin in essence. Melanin for the melanocyte and various types of neurotransmitters for neuron. Moreover, melanin migrates to the peripheral nervous system, where the nervous system is in direct contact with the external world. Your peripheral nervous system is obviously your arms and hands, your legs. Your central nervous system has the most functional parts of your body, your organs and your gland, which is your center. Your peripheral is your arms and legs, essentially, that branch out. Because your arms are like a branch or roots, depending on the perspective you choose to view it as. Whether you see a 6 perspective or a 9 perspective. The branches are the roots and the roots are the branches. When you look at a tree, like I said earlier, depending on your perspective, if you flip it around, it's the same thing. As above, so below. That's peripheral nervous system. Central is the core, the center. So where are we at here? What's poppin'? Vibe Bender, I see you. One love to you as well. So, let's move on. Moreover, melanin migrates to the peripheral nervous system, where the nervous system is in direct contact with the external world via atomic nervous system, nerve ganglia, connecting all internal organs. So the cellular intelligence network, transferring, interfacing information, intelligence back and forth. And the somatic nervous system, musculature, the endocrine system, which secretes various hormones. Remember, hormones are instructions or intelligence or information. The sun is a great factor in your body your body running properly, because the sun is the greatest contributor to hormones in your body. The sun could be considered the CEO of the body, the chief of the body, because all the intelligence information is achieved from the sun. You will not be able to reach your highest kinetic potential in your body, mentally and physically, if you're not getting enough sunlight. Your body is going to become dysfunctional if you lack sun. We're in a so-called pandemic right now, right? So if you lack sunlight, how are you going to have the immune strength to fight against enemies that want to run your body? Like a virus, like a bad bacteria that wants to harm and take over your body. If you don't get enough sunlight, how are you going to strengthen the body? A lot of you are running to vaccinations in ignorance and stupidity. What is your immune system for? How do you boost the function of your immune system? Get your ass back to nature and get sunlight. Why do people talk about sunlight so much? Vitamin D. But people don't realize the sunlight gives you more than vitamin D. It gives you more than vitamin D. It gives you the hormones, the instructions, the intelligence for your body to function at a high metabolic rate, which is what? Anabolism, building the body up. Catabolism, breaking things down to extract energy, to extract minerals, vitamins, resources, nutrients, sustenance. Your body will not be able to do these things properly if it doesn't get enough sunlight. If you're not breathing right, if you're not connected to the earth, if you're not staying hydrated? How is your body going to function and do its job? How are you going to protect yourself proactively if you're not doing the basic things you should be doing, like every animal is doing every day, but humans are not? Humans are doing less than the bare minimum, and that's why they're sick. That's why they can't think. Because they're not connected to nature, and that's the problem. You have to stop underestimating nature. Get connected with that sun, because your body cannot function properly and efficiently and effectively if you're not getting sunlight, if you're not connected to earth. Ground yourself to the earth. Neutralizes inflammation, oxidative stress. When do humans connect to earth? Well, when you go to the beach, when you have a vacation, that's barely any time. And sometimes you may go to your backyard and step a few bit, go to do something, barbecue. That's not enough. You got to be connected as long as possible and stay connected as long as possible. So you got to learn to stop using your rubberized shoes that is not giving you that benefit of the electrons from the earth, which acts as antioxidants. Taking away free radicals, slowing down the aging process, taking away the inflammation, the internal flames that is burning you up and causing you to swell up. That's inflammation. You need to connect yourself to the earth. You need to get sunlight. You need to breathe deeper from your diaphragm, the base of your spine, your stomach. More oxygen in, so you have more vitality in life. Sunlight gives you the intelligence, the hormones, the instructions your body needs, so your metabolism is at its highest kinetic potential. And by building your melanin, you're only going to make this process more efficient and effective. So the endocrine system, which secretes various hormones, is also dependent upon melanin. Did you catch that? The endocrine system, which secretes various hormones, is also dependent upon melanin for its structure and function. So what we talking about? Oh, melanin doesn't do much but protect you from the sun. What you talking about? Be seasoned. Be spiced in the real knowledge. Your endocrine system, as every system in your body, requires hormones and is also dependent upon melanin. And that's obtained from the sun. Building your melanin is from sun exposure. From eating the proper fresh foods, the plant pigments, color spectrums to build your melanin. Neuromelanin, central nervous system melanin, and your physical melanin. Tyrosine plays a major factor in building your external melanin. The aromatic amino acids, phenylalanine, tryptophan, those are the chief amino acids that are responsible for capturing light, sound, photons, electromagnetism. Phonons as well. To set the rhythm in your body, the tone in your body, calibrate your body, tune your body. Fireblaze today, man. Fireblaze. We're coming with a fireblaze with this information. We're just not talking soft with this information. We're talking strong, because you need to get strong. You can't be coming soft in nature. You got to come strong. You got to make sure your body's strong in nature. All these people dying in this pandemic because their body weak and they're doing stupid things. Oh, Nathan, calm down, show love. No, I'm showing tough love. You've been doing the stupid thing for too long. Now it's time you smart the hell up. Smarten the heaven up. Not the hell up, because hell is down. You want to rise up. You want to elevate. So smarten the heaven up. So the endocrine system, which secretes various hormones. Matter of fact, let me stop it. Truth blazing. Facts blazing. Facts being manufactured in a factory. You know what time it is, man. You let the information marinate. Work on yourself. That's what it's about. Intellectual prowess. Build your neuromelanin. Build your central nervous system melanin. Get back to nature.
What? Slow motion this side.
So let's continue with this. Get through this. Highlights. We don't want to make this too long today. Fire blaze today. So the endocrine system, which secretes various hormones, is also dependent upon melanin for its structure and function. Melanin is the foundation of your whole body. Furthermore, the nerves for olfaction, vision, and hearing are also formed from the presence of melanin. Are you taking notes? And neurons in these areas contain melanin granules in their cytoplasm. Melanin in all of these regions of the human body can help to provide extra sensory perceptive abilities, ESP. The 5+ senses, 5+. The plus part, when I say plus, is referring to extra sensory perception. Why does melanin give you the ability to have ESP, extra sensory perception abilities? Because melanin connects you to the direct root and source of all things. Blackness is the root and source of all things. So therefore, you're going to be able to access higher abilities. This is why it's important you build your melanin externally and internally to get access to these abilities. This is why certain people have outstanding hearing. Certain people have excellent vision beyond 20/20, beyond the normal hearing span. Some people have excellent taste. They'll be able to distinguish and break down all the ingredients in food because it's melanin. Some people's touch is so sophisticated they can even tell you the ingredients by touching. That's all extra sensory perceptions going toward that fringe of it. But when people start having psychic abilities, be able to read you and do all those things, those are going to the plus. Going beyond just the 5+ senses. This is why melanin is important. Your ability to connect to the source and the root of all things is going to give you higher and grander abilities. This is the realm of the gods when you access the blackness. Blackness is the embodiment of all dimensions. It's the quantum field of infinite possibilities. When everything is in blackness, everything is in unity, synchronicity, unison, simultaneously. Everything is moving as one. The all is in the one. We are in the one, turns into the all differences we see right now. We're in the one for all. Blackness allows you to go all back to the oneness. So when you're all back in the oneness, you feel and know all things. That's a portion of God's power. That's omnipotence, all-powerful, omniscient, all-knowing, and omnipresent. All places at one time. When you're in the supreme state of oneness. That's why melanin is important. So let's continue. Let's pop in Kenneth Willis and Arthur Foster. Welcome to the Fire True Sanctuary. Let's pop in. So melanin in all of these regions of the human body can help to provide extrasensory perceptive abilities. Life is the experience of perceiving what nature has to offer. Nature is the root of all existence. It's the physical manifestation of all existence. All the possibilities is in nature. And if you cannot feel the information and intelligence of nature, if you lack the ability to feel, how are you going to grow and develop to your highest kinetic potential in life? Life is all about interfacing with the light. Did you hear me? Life is about your relationship, your connection, of you interfacing with the light. How are you going to be able to absorb all the light frequency vibrations of the Roy G. Biv, the rainbow color spectrum, and beyond in both directions that are invisible to the human vector, that what the eye can perceive. If your body is unable to process these other frequencies that's outside the vector of your vision, your hearing, all these things, how are you going to grow and develop? Melanin allows you to process all things because you're connected directly to the root and source of all of things. So you got to build your melanin externally and internally. I'm going to remind you, melanin externally, more athletic you become. Mentally, more intelligent you become. That's what extrasensory perception is talking about. That's why when you have all these geniuses coming out, whatever the skill they have, they're a genius in that area that they're in because they have a lot of melanin concentrated in whatever skill they have, so they are able to execute with excellence at an elite level because of the melanin concentration they have and whatever talent they have, whether it's a physical thing or mental thing. And it also has to do with genetics as well. Melanin will enhance your genetics, magnify your genetics, which is an expression of your body. Genes are an expression of the intelligence within your body, your physical makeup. So let's move on. So life is the experience of perceiving what nature has to offer. The more melanin you got, the more you could experience nature. And experimental research on the biophysical properties of melanin suggests that the experience can be enhanced, magnified, and amplified by the presence of melanin. Oh, Nathan, melanin just protects you from the sun. You've been deceived and lied to. To clarify this latter point, conceptualize the following three factual scenarios. The absence of pigment in the inner ear would produce deafness. So people that go deaf, it's because they lost the melanin in their ear. Number two, the absence of pigment in the retina would make us virtually blind. So people who have bad vision, their melanin is getting destroyed in their eyes. It's losing the ability to process light. 3, without pigment in specific midbrain brain structures, our psychomotor abilities would be severely impaired. So your mental function will lack if you lack melanin, neuromelanin, central nervous system melanin, and your physical ability will lack. Because if your neurons cannot transmit signals properly throughout your body, you're not going to be able to move properly. That's disabled people. They can't move properly. They can't function right physically. Same thing with the mentally. They can't communicate effectively, although they may understand what you're saying, but since the melanin within their central nervous system is all messed up and screwed up, they cannot function like a normal human being. Because all of that they lack melanin. It's all because they lack melanin in certain regions of their brain or their body, wherever it may be, is going to cause a dysfunction. So the next part, we will review the location of neuromelanin-specific brain structures. Location neuromelanin. The distribution of melanin in the human brain has been mapped by numerous investigators. Olszewski and Baxter, 1954. Olszewski, 1964. Bazilian, et al., 1967. Fineschel and Bazelion, 1968. Graham, 1979. Von Wart, Prasad and Borg, 1967. Sapir and Petito, 1982. Bergertz, 1981. And the cells are primarily located in the brainstem and midbrain of Bogerts, 1981. Studied the brains of 4 adults, ages 47, 53, 54, and 56. And demonstrated a striking similarity between the location of the melanin and the catecholamine cell bodies described in various animal and human fetuses. From the brain areas that were studied, cell counts from the center of each area showed that mean density of melanin containing cell bodies were varied considerably between the different areas. Another significant finding from the study was that neuromelanin was not found in the dopamine mesolimbic pathway, which is responsible for the reward or pleasure circuit, extended from the ventral tegmentum to the nucleus accumbens. This lack of neuromelanin in the reward pathway was surprising because of the concept that both neuromelanin and catecholamines are commonly derived. Others have reported similar findings with a rat that was genetically sensitive to dopamine. There were changes in the nigrostriatal dopamine system, but not mesolimbic dopamine system. These are intriguing findings because a great majority of catecholamine melanin contained cells are dopaminergic. It is known that melanin is deposited in neurons, which are most active in catecholamine synthesis. This looks like it's starting to get real technical with this. So I'm going to move on to more things that is more easier to understand. Let me move on, because they're getting real technical with this. So let's get to the point of this part. In addition, intensity. Just give me one moment, brothers and sisters. Don't want to read all this unnecessary stuff. Let's just get to the point and summarize it. So let me see what this is saying here. A very significant point to mention how ethnic races differences are overlooked when evaluating the presence of neuromelanin. If the claim is made that brain melanin is programmed to function at different capacities depending upon a person's overall genetic capacity to produce melanin, then it is likely that the brain melanin can vary between ethnic groups. The distribution of melanin pigment neurons in the human brain was plotted using the brains of 3 adults, 68 to 80 years of age. These neurons were found primarily in areas corresponding to the A1, A14 catecholame cells groups, which have been reported in other species. The cells from A1 in the reticular formation extend through the brainstem and midbrain to the A14 cell groups in the hypothalamus. In another display of cytoarchitecture of human brainstem, Olszewski and Baxter 1954 mapped 12 neuromelanin cell groups, which can be found in Table I. The substantia nigra. Nigra, we know that means black, right? And the lucus coeruleus are 2 major neuromelanin containing cell groups. The substantia nigra produces dopamine, and the locus coeruleus, however how you pronounce that, produces neuropinephrine to provide a visual representation of the location of neuromelanin. Okay, let's get to the point here, man. Tyrosine hydroxylase, an enzyme involved in biosynthesis. Let me just fast forward and get to the point. Let's look for the conclusion part here. Don't want to read all this unnecessary stuff. Let's get to the point. Okay. Just give me one moment. I'm just doing my best to summarize this. I don't really want to read all of this, so I just want to make sure we'll see what it's saying here. Genetic and neurogenetic. Okay. So overall, when you go through their studying, they're basically testing neuromelanin and seeing how neurodegeneration is formed in the brain, or how these disorders are formed. And they found, on average, a person who lacked neuromelanin tend to more likely develop a neurodegenerative disease or disorder like Alzheimer's. So that's just telling you the importance of melanin. On average, that's more likely the person will get it if they're losing their neuromelanin, they're going to develop that disorder. And we know one of the things that destroy your melanin is aluminum. Aluminum is one of the elements when you have an overabundance in your system, it destroys your neurons, the melanin in your body. So you develop a neurodegenerative disorder like Alzheimer's. And basically, on average, the person who lacks melanin is more likely going to develop that neurodegenerative disorder. Some have tested that there's no difference. Some scientists say that it doesn't make a difference. However, some says that it does make a difference. That's simply the summary of that when you go through that whole study and read all of that. Okay, let's move on to highlights. Let's go on here. Okay, here's the point here. This is how the other scientists that says there's no difference, this is where they get shut down here. So this part here, hold up. Alright, here we'll start here. In some, a person can have a genetic predisposition to develop a neurodegenerative disease if they are deficient and have a genetic mechanisms that are unavailable to ward off the accumulation of neurotoxic substances. Like I mentioned, aluminum is one of the causes of Alzheimer's when you have too much. So a person can have a genetic predisposition to develop a neurodegenerative disease if there are deficient genetic mechanisms. And in a lot of cases, if you have a deficient genetic mechanism, that's because you're not getting enough nutrition in. Your body's not getting what it needs. That are unavailable to ward off accumulation of neurotoxic substances. Like cleansing out aluminum out of your system. So lessen your chance of getting Alzheimer's. It's because there's a nutrient synergy you must have. Minerals have to have a certain ratio balance between one another. When you have zinc and copper are protagonists and antagonists to one another. If you have too much zinc, you're going to flush out copper. Too much copper, you flush out zinc. You got to have a specific ratio balance to have ma'at, balance, equilibrium in your body in order to take advantage of the benefits of both the minerals. So you have to be aware of the protagonists and antagonists when it comes to the aluminum for degenerative disorders. So if you lack nutrition in your body, of course you're going to develop a neurodegenerative disease or a physical disease. It's nutrition, lack of instructions, which is the hormones which you get from sunlight. So where are we at? Put this to conclusion soon. So So if there's a deficiency in genetic mechanisms that are unavailable to ward off the accumulation of neurotoxic substances or viruses, if a person has a proclivity to develop a neurodegenerative disease, then several factors: age, your diet, which is nutrition, which is talking about nutrition. I don't like to say diet, I like to say live it. Ultimately, it's your overall lifestyle. It's more than just food. It's your overall lifestyle. What people are you hanging around with? What environment are you in? What materials are you dealing with? It's more than just food. That's why I say diet, no, it's more than that. It's a lifestyle, live it. Because all those things play a major role in your health. People, places, and things. People, places, and things. So that's what it really is about. Not just food. Nutrients is important, but people can be a nutrient or a detriment to you. Did you catch that? People can be a nutrient to you or a detriment to you. Your environment can be a nutrient to you or a detriment to you. The materials you deal with, which is including the food, can be a nutrient or a detriment. Listen to reason and listen to wisdom. Also, toxic exposure, which is the materials. Toxic exposure is dealing with the food and materials, your environment. May help to trigger the destruction of neurons. So your age, your lifestyle. So basically the people, places, and things that you deal with is gonna what? Depending on if it's a benefit or detriment, you're going to get those results. If the people are benefiting you, your health is going to be good. If the environment is benefiting you, that your health will be good. If the materials you're dealing with are good, you're going to be benefited. If it's not, then obviously you're going to receive the disease. Disconnected from your ease, distant from your ease. So you got to clean up your cipher of life. People, places, and things. Otherwise, you're going to be leading to the destruction of your neurons if you're operating in the detriment side rather than the benefit. So your lifestyle is an important thing you must regulate and control properly if you want that electrified vitality, the longevity, and resiliency like an evergreen tree, surviving and thriving throughout all the seasons. Listen to reason. Listen to wisdom.
What? Slow motion this side.
Another highlight here. It is hypothesized that neuromelanin is genetically programmed to enhance neural functioning by protecting the brain from toxic assaults that accumulate from years of slow poisoning. It is hypothesized that neuromelanin is genetically programmed to enhance neural functioning by protecting the brain from toxic assaults that accumulate from years of slow poisoning. Neuromelanin and ethnicity. For obvious reasons, it is not possible to dissect the brain of a normal human in order to explore how neuromelanin functions completely, but the biophysical properties of synthetic melanin in the laboratory can shed some light on how neuromelanin is functioning in the brain. Experimental evidence can be gathered from animal experiments, pharmacogenetic and pharmacogenetic effects of drugs in patients, and post-mortem analysis of brain tissue. Racial classification have historically used skin pigmentation as the sole factor in making a distinction of groups of people. The different levels of skin pigmentation are due to enzymes. Tyrosinase. Remember, I told you that tyrosine is the major amino acid responsible for darkening of the skin. When the ASE is added to tyrosine, it's an enzyme. The tyrosine enzyme factor is what builds the darkness in your skin. So if you want to darken your skin, you gotta get that aromatic amino acid in you, more of it in you. That's one of the key factors to helping you process light. Because when you look at this at a molecular level, tyrosine, it's a benzene ring or a hexagon. Hexagons are responsible for capturing light, capturing sound. And you need light, and you need sound to calibrate your body, to tune your body, to darken your body, so you can receive more information and intelligence. Tyrosine is a major amino acid responsible for darkening your body. But when it comes to the sun, we know that UVB light specifically is responsible for building vitamin D, allowing your body to manufacture vitamin D, for building your immune system function, and allowing you to absorb other minerals in your body, like calcium, to strengthen your bones, and to build your immune system function, and your metabolism. So this tyrosinase determines the amount of melanin that is produced on the external surface of the body. There is no controversy to discuss ethnic differences in skin melanin, but it becomes problematic. We already discussed skin melanin in the previous parts. This is part 8. So keep that in mind. This is part 8 of the melanin science. If you want to know other stuff, I've already broken it down in the previous 7. So I'm not going to repeat it here. We've already broken down the different types of melanin, with the eumelanin, the pheomelanin, the allomelanin, which is a plant melanin, pigments. Pheo is the light. Eumelanin is the black and brown. Pheo is the light brown to the pale going to white, red. Those ones. So another main part here. Brain melanin is genetically programmed to function at a different capacity depending upon a person's overall genetic capacity to produce melanin. While the internal molecular arrangement of diffuse interconnections of one's neuromelanin catecholamine network may vary uniquely with each individual, such a variation in one's neuromelanin does not correlate in any obvious way with one's skin color. As I mentioned before, the darkness of your skin is not going to determine 1-to-1 ratio to how much neuromelanin you have on average, not all the time. Just because you're dark doesn't necessarily mean you have a high amount of neuromelanin. But in most cases, you more likely should have it, a high amount. But it doesn't necessarily guarantee it either. So keep that in mind. That's why I say a person's intelligence is centered around because they have a lot of neuromelanin. A person's physical ability is achieved usually it's because of their ability to process light externally, to enhance, amplify, and magnify the physical ability. But it's not equal across the board all the time because of genetics. Because if you have certain genetic weaknesses, sometimes your body won't be able to take advantage of athletic ability. Same thing with mental ability. Sometimes you won't be able to take advantage of mental ability if you're weak, if you have weak genetics in a certain area. So genetics play a role. However, melanin makes your genetics stronger. So genetics play a role. So you gotta turn off the weak genetics, turn on the strong genetics. And that's based on the people you hang around with, the environment you're in, and the materials you're dealing with, whether it's food or materials. You got to control your genes, epigenetics, right? Bruce Lipton, epigenetics. How the outside world, how nature affects your cells. Hormesis, how nature puts pressure on your cells to adapt and change for the detriment or for the better of your body, your living biochemistry. That's a study of epigenetics. How environmental factors affect you, whether it's people, whether it's places or things. That plays a major role in molding your body to elevate or de-elevate. Looks like these guys are going into more studies to prove their point. I don't know if I want to read all of that. I just want to focus on the highlights. So again, they're mentioning the first point will be addressed in the next section to emphasize the multiple advantages of neuromelanin functioning. The latter point pertains to enzyme activity, which reports have addressed in Curzon 1975. Other factors must play a determining factor for the presence of neuromelanin, and the field of genetics can provide clues. Moreover, the biochemistry of melanin, Moreover, the biochemistry of melanin, neuromelanin, may be a critical factor linked to any genetic variations in the manifestation of psychiatric disorder. For example, Lawson 1986 has brought to our attention that racial and ethnic differences exist in the symptom presentations of psychiatric disorders. In addition, clinical issues have been raised, Lawson 1996, to suggest that African Americans have poorer outcomes than Caucasians in general health and mental health systems, possibly due to the lesser access to services, particularly psychopharmacology in mental health systems. There was only suggestions that these problems may be exacerbated by ethnic differences in pharmacokinetics. So we know the real reason why Africans on average have health issues is simply because they're not getting enough sunlight. They're living like a Caucasian lifestyle. That's easily broken down. Easily. They're living in some of them are living in poverty, lack of resources, lack of health care, destroyed for lack of knowledge, not getting enough sunlight, not dealing with elements enough, not getting enough nutrition, not getting educated properly, and they're living like a Caucasian, and that's why they suffer. I've already broken down in the previous ones. However, when they're in the ultimate environment, this is not going to happen. I'm just trying to get to the highlights. I don't want to waste time reading all this study. You guys could go do this research on your own if you're interested in hear all this study. But they're getting technical stuff, so I don't want to waste a lot of time on that. I want to focus on the highlights more. So part of this study, they're talking about the vitamin D issue. Black folks obviously need to be in the sun longer. So if you're not in the sun long enough to get what you need, then you're going to suffer health-wise. Obviously, you're going to have issues with your bones. Immune system is going to be lacking. Pale skinned people don't need to be in the sun as long because they produce vitamin D faster. Because the melanin is not regulating and controlling the process as much. But the downfall of that is that they're going to get scorched if they overstay their time. That's why you need to build your melanin. Build your capacity during the spring. The battery gauge is less in paler folks. That's why they get scorched and have issues. They can't stay too much. Their batteries is smaller. Melanated folks have a greater battery gauge, so they can stay in the sun longer. It takes longer to charge because the battery gauge is greater. So let's just talk about the difference between Caucasians and Africans and why they suffer in health. We already know this. I've already explained this already. This is just further confirming what I've already said in the other ones. Just being very technical and scientific about it with this. Okay, here's good. Here's a good part. Here's a good part. Here we're getting to it now. Something more interesting to discuss here. Basically doing animal experience and doing all different studies to measure melanin and all those things with neuromelanin. But in essence, I've already told you the end result of that. So advantages of neuromelanin. We commonly think of melanin as a photoprotective pigment in the skin that can block the damaging effects of ultraviolet radiation. And that's what people think it does. But as I've broken down through these 8 parts, it does far more than that. It's the foundation of life itself. So we commonly think of melanin as a photoprotective pigment in the skin that can block the damaging effects of ultraviolet radiation from the sun. UVR is an external stimulus and it does not reach the inner depths of the brain. Therefore, it is difficult to comprehend why melanin is found deep in the brain if it is not due to stimulation from the sun. Most of the speculation on the significance of neuromelanin formation has resulted from studies on neurodegeneration of pigmented brain neurons or from studies of synthetic melanin in the laboratory. The clueless adventure has slowly faded as we gained more knowledge concerning the biophysical properties of melanin, which is a toxic neutralizer. Melanin is effective as a device for radiationless conversion of energy of harmful excited molecules into innocuous vibrational energy. So it's telling you that melanin neutralizes the damaging effects of different electromagnetic energies. It harmonizes the energy frequency so it organizes it. If something is damaging, melanin is able to organize that chaotic energy that's damaging to your body and makes it conducive for the body. It organizes the chaos and makes it conducive. The damaging effects, it organizes it. That's why melanin is it's like a filter, it's like a processor of electromagnetic energy, photohydroelectromagnetic energy. That's my term, photohydroelectromagnetic energy. Pho is referring to light and sound. Melanin processes light and sound. It processes hydrogen, the waters, processes thermal heat, electricity, magnetism, and makes it beneficial in the body for mental animation, physical motility. Melanin is effective as a device for radiationist conversion of energy of harmful excited molecules into innocuous vibrational energy. So as I said, organizes energy so it's less destructive, protecting your cellular structure of your body. This conversion may deactivate metabolically excited molecules. The conversion may deactivate or neutralize metabolically excited molecules like ultraviolet, like gamma, all those damaging rays, X-rays, makes it less harmful in the body by neutralizing it. That can become potentially damaging to cells. Since there are no mechanical devices involved, that is why this conversion is called radiationless. And this is why black folks take a longer time to produce vitamin D. Because the melanin is organizing all that electromagnetic energy for energetic purposes in the body, mentally, physically, and for manufacturing hormones and vitamins in the body, like vitamin D and other various things that to produce metabolism in the body, whether anabolic or catabolic. Since there are no mechanical devices involved, that is why this conversion is called radiationless. The important point is that melanin helps to ensure that the spread of further cellular damage is neutralized. So this is why white people get scorched, burnt. Because their body can efficiently convert these electromagnetic energies from ultraviolet, X-ray, gamma, any of those damaging frequencies. All those frequencies that are capable of destroying the organization of your cellular matrix or your electromagnetic energy your body produces. It causes chaos in your body, and the end result of that is what? You get boils on your skin, you get burnt, you get disfigured. It accelerates the aging process. That's what happens. That's what happens when you deal with ionizing radiation. Non-ionizing radiation does the same thing, but it's a lot slower. It takes a longer time for that damage to happen. It's not noticeable like ionizing radiation. So when you're dealing with, when you're around Wi-Fi towers, cellular towers, you think that it's safe, but in long term, it's actually breaking down your cells. The effects are just not immediate like ionizing rays. But all energy has an effect in your body, whether it's a positive or negative. And a person's lack of melanin is going to make them more susceptible to this damage. You see how important melanin is? Why don't they teach you this in school? You won't learn this until you go to university. And even then, when you go to university, you probably won't really learn about it until you're like second, the third, fourth in. Sometimes you won't even get these details until you go to the master section, until you go to your doctorate. You probably won't even learn these details when you're in a bachelor. You probably have to go to your master's or your doctorate to even get this information. And even then, they're going roundabout about this because they want to uphold the white supremacy thing. And they want to hide information. That's a problem with this. They don't want to give you direct information. They want to play games with words, use all these big fancy words with you, and play games. And then you have to waste time looking at the vocabulary of all this jargon in the science term just to find out what it is, to get the simple terminology of it. It's like they purposely try to be indirect with you with all these big words and all this stuff they're using. I'm here to simplify this. So melanin is also known to protect against dangerous free radicals. Free radicals rob you of your body's life energy. We know that. Rob your body of electrons. If you lose electrons, you age faster. You oxidize. When you leave a fruit outside in the sun, what happens to it after a while? Oxidize. It begins to decay and rot and return back to the soil. Same thing with your body when you have free radicals roaming and this just causing havoc and chaos in your body. Same thing. Melanin is also known to protect against dangerous free radicals. Free radicals are highly reactive chemical species that have an odd number of electrons, and hence one unimpaired electron. It has been proposed, Commoner, Townsend, and Paik, 1954, that melanin acts like a deposit site or sink for unimpaired electrons. Thus removing reactive free radicals. So it's acting like an antioxidant. Peroxides are examples of chemical substances that can lose an electron and change into dangerous and cytotoxic substances. Besides cytotoxic molecules and free radicals, melanin has a redox capacity to prevent a rust in the brain. For example, so redox is dealing with adding electrons to the body to balance out the negative ones. If you leave iron in water, it will oxidize. Oxidization is taking away electrons from your body. In other words, taking away life energy at your body. In other words, in simple terms, you rust. Same thing as rusting. Rusting is aging for metal. Oxidizing is aging for other metals. And even for us. In the body, melanin can act as an electron transfer agent. Melanin can act as an electron transfer agent to protect cells and tissues against reducing or oxidizing conditions. By assisting in the transfer of electrons, melanin ensures the safe conversion of potentially volatile chemical reactions. How come they're not telling you that melanin does all this? All they tell you is that it protects you from the sun. And that's a poor description of what melanin does. It doesn't protect you of the sunlight. It's not like a barrier. All it does, melanin organizes the energies so it becomes conducive for the body. It's just like the airport metaphor I brought forth. Security, checking everything to make sure you have no weapons. No weapons of mass destruction. There's checking you, scanning you, taking away whatever dangerous item that you brought from a different place, taken away, putting it stored somewhere else to eject out. That's what melanin does. It organizes everything, puts everything in the proper place. It takes the benefits of what they're getting, uses it, takes the detriments, gets it out, neutralizes it by putting it in a prison or dismantling whatever that damaging thing is, and then getting rid of it. That's what melanin does. It's like the pat down. You coming through the pass through here, you got to get the pat down, you got to get scanned, all that stuff. That's what melanin's doing. And then it's taking stuff that you shouldn't have on you, putting it into a safe area or ejecting it or dismantling it. The beneficial things come through. But anyways, I'm going to put this to a conclusion. We'll continue this another time. This goes on and on. There's a lot of information here. On and on and on with this information. We'll continue this another time. So that's a conclusion for now. That's a fire of truth and nothing but the whole living, unified truth. You know what time it is, my brothers and sisters? Master the elements. You see the black god there. You better be getting your melanin up. That's what this is all about. So as always, my brothers and sisters, awaken your mind and get your behind back to the organic, get to the mainframe of mighty nature, which is a collective consciousness. Collective consciousness. United we stand stronger, together we rise higher. All of us got to be equipped with the elevating knowledge and wisdom to bring ourselves to a higher level. You got to be growing like this plant and seed, right? Get the nutrition you get at the soil. Our nutrition is what? The sun, earth, wind, water. But anyway, since I don't see any questions, I'm going to put this to a conclusion. And we'll continue this in part 9, breaking down more of the melanin science. It's time to brainwash your mind clean. Unlearn the ignorance you have learned, you must. The future belongs to those who unlearn ignorance, relearn knowledge, unlearn more ignorance, relearn knowledge. Life is about growth and development. Master the elements that are all around you. People, places, and things. Take control of your health. We're in a so-called pandemic. Sunlight. Ground yourself to the earth. Take your rubber shoes off. Breathe deeper. Make it instinctual. Make it second nature. Instead of your shallow breathing, which causes stress, learn to breathe better. That control regulates your immune system. If you don't breathe right, your immune system is going to be low. If you're not getting enough sunlight, your immune system is going to be low. If you're not reducing stress off your body, inflammation, oxidative stress, because you're not grounded to the earth, your immune system is going to be low. If you're not staying hydrated with proper living waters, your immune system is going to be low. And your body's not going to be able to regulate energy and charge throughout your body because you're not hydrated. Anyways, stay sitting at your seats for more Fire of Truth coming, more Live Blaze coming, continuing on the melanin science, and we're also going to be continuing on the series of the spiritual science of nature. So check that out as well. We're breaking this thing down at a holistic level. Spiritual science, physical science, all of it is being broken down. Philosophy, culture, history, all of it is coming here to get you right holistically. It's about a lifestyle. It's not about your death style, your diets. It's about a lifestyle, not your diets, your death style. That's what it's all about. Anyways, enjoy the rest of your day. Peace. You know what time it is. United we stand stronger. Together we rise higher. Like, share the video. If you haven't watched the other 7 parts, I suggest you do that to get more information of what I'm talking about here. I'm just giving you different angles of different science books, different papers showing you that I'm not just talking. So if you don't know what this book is, this is what the book is that I'm reading, that I'm getting information from right now. Why darkness matters. The power of melanin in the brain. PhD doctors. That contributed to this book. Do your own research, do your own investigation, and study. Anyways, brothers and sisters, enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.
Check it, listen, coming through, fire bun. I'm an intellectual to the precise. Yeah, check it, listen, coming through, fire bun. I'm an intellectual to the precise decimal, mathematical root radicals. So we see this, I mean this, the fire of truth. From the sheer might, the fire of truth. Preach, teach, the fire of truth.
Just levitate, levitate, keep your head straight. Just levitate, levitate. Even if the world is so cold, we just levitate, levitate, shed these lies.
Balance is key, foundation you see, harmony we see, nature we free, spirit we agree, preach and teach, the flock we reach, peace we feast, Ecclesiastics 3, Barak Shalom hour, inner peace power, reason in season, there's meaning in beacon and wisdom we season. Peace to the Most High, the Most High, 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 peace to the Most High, the Most High.
I see a question here now. Well, I know why these questions are slow to come up. I'm going to answer this quickly. See what he's talking about here. Cubanoid, fat man, what's poppin'? What about verapamil and... are these pharmaceutical drugs you're talking? What is this? Verapamil, I'm not familiar with that. And this what is that? Whatever that is, what would be alternative to help people who have heart dysrhythmia problems when their heart rate is high, and for their chest? What is good? I've just told you already. I suggest you go ground yourself to the earth. Reduce inflammation, oxidative stress, get to a natural environment, breathe in fresh air, get more nutrition in the body, stop eating toxic foods, get away from people that are stressing you out, get away from the environment that is stressing you out. It's a holistic lifestyle. I don't know which your family does or whatever they do. I can't give you anything specific but tell you to do the common sense basics. You have a genetic deficiency, a disease, you or someone in your family has it because they're not in tune with nature. They're not getting the proper nutrition. They're not living the right lifestyle. You got to stop doing things that are damaging to the body. I've told you already. Get as much sunlight as you can. Get to an environment that is stress-free as possible. Stop working a job that is giving you the stress to give you high blood pressure, heart issues. Do cardio activities, common sense things. You got to do these things. Actually do it. Not just sit and wait for some miracle drug, some pharmaceutical drug. That's not good enough. You got to proactively do the work. If you have a weak heart, how do you strengthen your heart? You got to do exercise. If you have weak lungs, you got to do exercise. You got to get the nutrition to nourish it. You got to change your lifestyle. Stop sitting indoors all the time. Go to nature. Go to a park. Take the shoes off your feet. Connect to the earth. Get as much sunlight as you can. Relax. Enjoy. And also, sometimes you got to put the intense work in as well. Because a weak heart is not going to get stronger if you don't put in work. Weak lungs are not going to get stronger if you don't put in work. A weak body is not going to get stronger if you don't put in work. There's a balance here. You need to get away from the environment that is stressing your body unneededly, while at the same time you need to strengthen your heart, your lungs, or whatever that you have an issue with by exercising, doing what you need to do. You need to interface with the elements. You need to get off the pharmaceutical drugs and get to natural remedies. Start eating better. Eat for nutrition, not for taste. The focus should be on, if you're really serious about trying to reverse your situation, eat for nutrition, not for taste all the time. Everything that tastes good is not good for you all the time. Some things that don't taste good are actually good for you. Some things that are good for you will taste good. Nature has a balance. But if you're eating processed junk all the time, don't expect for your health to be elevated. Get back to the natural foods. I don't know your situation or your family member's situation, so I can't give you anything specific. But use common sense. You should know what you're supposed to be doing and not supposed to be doing. But anyways, enjoy. Peace. It's all about knowledge of self. Knowledge of how your cells work. If you don't have the knowledge of how your cells work, how are you going to have health? You got to get to the library. Cubanoid fat man, get to the library and study. Study yourself. Study nature. Things are not going to change if you don't put in work. You got to put in work. There is no quick miracle pill for anything. You got to put work in. Anyways, peace.